Hi everybody, my name is Heidi Scott. I'm with Winsome Craft, and we thought we would set this up just to give everybody a little bit of information on how to get started with rosette making. Probably the number one question we get is, how do you get started in the hobby? Sure, rosette making as fun for everyone else as it is for me. We have rosette making as a business, and honestly, it's only because I loved it so much I wanted to make more, but I didn't have any reason to make more. So I wanted to set it up and kind of get started. And it started out originally as I made my mom a rosette because her horse won miniature horse national championships, and the rosette she got was less than stellar. And she was kind of sad about that, and I didn't want my mom to be sad. So I ended up just teaching myself how to do it. Unfortunately, when I first started, there just wasn't that much information, and I didn't know how to do it, and I felt so overwhelmed, and I don't want you all to feel like that. My video today is going to be all about how to get started. A little daunting, like, where do you even begin? How do you start? How do you get stuff? Is there anyone to help you? So check out my video. If you like it, then definitely subscribe, and we're going to have a lot more videos on the channel like this, so click that button right below. Thanks. All right, so the first topic we get all the time is, what do I need to make a rosette? So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you some of the very basic things you need. It's really not expensive to get started in the hobby. It is only expensive when you take it to a professional level. So I always tell people it is as cheap or as expensive as you would like to make it. So let's get you flipped around and we'll check out some products and stuff and kind of get started on some of the basics. Let's get started with the items that you need to craft a rosette. This is probably one of the number one questions we get asked, is what do I even need? So these are the basic items you will need in order to get started in the hobby. You cannot do it without these items, or at least you cannot do it very well without these items. So the first item you will need is ribbon. This is pretty essential for rosette, as they are in fact made of ribbon. You can make them out of paper, but they're a little flimsier and definitely prone to being destroyed by water. I do suggest though, when you're first starting out, if you are a very basic beginner, just grab some paper, cut it in a 2-inch by 4-inch width, and that is what you can use to start practicing folding with. That way you won't ruin any rosette, because once you crease this, that is it. It's hard to get uncreased. You can iron it or flat iron it to try to get creases out, but sometimes when you fold them, especially when you hard fold them, where you really crease the edges, it's never the same. So practice with paper first. Get kind of where you're comfortable doing the little loops and the triangles and stuff on paper, and then you can practice on ribbon. So you don't necessarily need ribbon to start. You can make paper if that's what you're more comfortable starting out with. Practice that. Just grab some and start practicing. Next up, you will need a good pair of scissors. It doesn't necessarily have to be this quality of scissor. These are tailor scissors, tailor fabric scissors. They can cut through jeans, but you do need a good, strong, sharp pair of scissors that can cut through ribbon. Any sort of dull scissors will fray the ribbon quite badly. And as you can see, this one's a little bit frayed. Little fibers are coming out there. So any kind of will fray, and it makes kind of a cleanup of the ribbon at the end a little bit harder if you don't have a good, strong, sharp pair of scissors. All right, up next you have the stapler. This is just a little $9 stapler that I got when I first started out. And honestly, it's the only one I use, and it's been my ride or die. It's made well over 100,000 staples at this point. It's still going strong, and I just got it for $9, so you don't have to necessarily have anything expensive. It just has to work for you. Some people like the longer ones because they hold more staples. I like the handheld shorter ones because very rarely are you ever going to be stapling on a table like this. You're going to be holding it and clipping the ribbon. I like a lighter stapler for that because it doesn't hurt my hands as much, and want a little bit lighter stapler if you're going to be holding it for hours on end. I do suggest finding whatever works for you, but you don't have to get anything expensive. This guy's just a little $9. And then the next item obviously would be your staples. The main thing I want to say about this is you just need to make sure that your staples fit your stapler. And the same goes with the glue gun, which we'll get to in a minute, but make sure you buy the correct staples for your stapler. If it's not, they won't fit, and then of course you'll have to wait until you get more. In terms of the hot glue gun, whatever you have when you first start out is what works best. So if all you have is a smaller, cheaper one, that's perfectly fine. This one's about a $20 price point one. I don't really use a very expensive one anyway. I like that it is chargeable and detachable because I can take it on the go and move all around with it. I don't have a big heavy cord in my way. So I quite like this one, but it is entirely up to you and it is what you have. The only thing I will suggest is that you get a high temperature one if possible, because the higher temperature hot glue sticks better. Sometimes the colder temperature hot glue can fall off. So make sure to try to get a high temperature one. And then of course, just like the staples, when you buy your glue sticks, make sure that you get the glue sticks that match your hot glue gun. This was actually a huge mistake I made when I first bought a hot glue gun. I ordered off Amazon willy-nilly and just ordered some sticks that were cheap, and they were the little itty bitty tiny sticks. I did not pay attention. All glue sticks are created equal, so make sure that you get one that matches your hot glue gun. And then up next we have some sort of backing. I like cake board personally for my backing. You can use just regular cardboard if that's all you've got, and you can cut a circle. Then get a cardboard box, cut a circle out. You can use that. I do suggest something stronger than paper, just because paper does tear very easily and sometimes rosettes can get kind of heavy. So some sort of cardboard or cake board. As you can see, this one's really thin cake board. It's a 4-inch, and then over here I've got a little bit bigger 6-inch. It's a little thicker, if you guys can see that. It's a little bit thicker there, but they're pretty sturdy and they do well. I like the shiny side. Make sure that is the side that you stick the rosette stuff to. A lot of times they'll have this kind of cardboardy side that's a little more papery, and then a shiny side where people would put the cakes or little desserts on. And this is better because if you have to pull off a triangle or a loop or something, then this side will tend to rip as you do it, and this side you can kind of peel them and pop them off a little easier, but they're pretty well stuck to it as well once they are on there. Like, not much is going to rip them off. They set on there pretty hard once they're good. So I definitely recommend using the shiny side, not the off side here. Now these you can get from any bakery place has them. We sell them as well. If you go to like a Rosette supply store, they'll often have some sort of backing for you. But these are definitely a huge recommend. Cake boards will save you a lot of time and headache, and they're pretty cheap as well. All right, and then you need some sort of center button or something for the center. It could be like a flower, like a silk flower or a brooch or something for the center of a rosette. When you get finished making your rosette, it'll have typically a hole or something kind of in the middle, and you need something to cover that up. So that's why they typically have something in the middle, is to cover this ugly bit that nobody wants to see. So a button cut out, you can have these molded, you could 3D print them, you could make a silk flower, you could find a brooch at a store, you could do all kinds of things. As long as it's round and it's about 2 inches or so, you could use it for the center. I just use buttons because I think they look nice and sharp. You can print on them. You can make them different sizes and different colors and different styles. And you can even do photo printing on them. So I like the versatility of buttons myself, but it is entirely up to you all as to what you like. And then last but not least, of course, is our little bridle hook here. This is how you hang a ribbon up. These are pretty easy. They bend well. They look nice. You can kind of bend them as you need, make them as short as you need, bend them however you need. They were originally for hooking on horses' bridles for the rosettes, so they're pretty traditional. And they also have these nice little holes on the end, so if somebody wants to fold it over and hang it on their wall on a nail or something, they could do that. But certainly you don't have to use a bridle hook. You can just take a string and attach it from one side to the other and use that to hang it like a picture. You could get some of the hooks hanging things. You could get command strips, really, if you wanted, just something to hang it up with, make it look nice. They are fairly cheap, and you can get them at most button making stores, believe it or not. And then Rosette supply stores have them as well. Rosette supply, you can typically buy them in smaller quantities than you can from button makers. If you don't need 5,000, I would not recommend buying 5,000 of them. They are quite heavy. So these are all of your basic supplies that you will need for making your rosette. If you don't have one of these items, they should be fairly easy to get. Most of this stuff you can get at a craft store. I think the only things that you really couldn't get at a craft store or like find an alternative for like cardboard is the acetate ribbon itself. Again, make sure it is acetate. And then the buttons, you probably would have to have somebody special craft those for you if you don't have a button maker. But you could use alternatives like make a silk flower or find a brooch at a store or something like that. So most everything here can be gotten at a craft store. So it is not a high entry point to start this hobby. The only other thing that you may need would be a printed ribbon if you want the ribbon to say something. I will strongly suggest that you get that from a rosette maker until you are sure that this is the hobby for you, as rosette printers can be quite costly in the beginning, and that is probably the highest entry point into the hobby. You could potentially get a cheap button maker, though I would suggest going with a little bit more quality button maker if you are planning on making a larger quantity of buttons, just because the cheaper ones break a lot. Trust me, I have been there. I've done that. I bought 3 before I was finally like, these are cheap and I can't use them, and ended up going with an actual button machine company with a heavy, what I like to call an industrial button maker. These are your basic supplies that you will need. As long as you have these, you can get started in the hobby. So come join us, have fun, and we hope to see you for more fun rosette making tutorials as you start out on your journey. If you are looking for supplies or classes, we offer both on our website, winsomecrafts.co. That's WINSOME crafts.co. I will link that in the description below for you. We have many different supplies. We've got classes, we've got subscriptions, we've got Rosette of the Month Club. If you think this might be the hobby for you, then come and join us. We would love to share our love of the hobby with you.